By now, you probably know a little bit about SUI, which is one of the up-and-coming blockchains out there in the crypto space. And then we're pitting that against Cardano, which is really one of the legacy chains, one of the old boys in this space. I'm sure you're familiar with ADA. Just for reference, Cardano's mainnet launched back in September of 2017. Both of these projects have their strong and weak points, and that's what we want to examine here. We're going to do a direct comparison and really evaluate both of these projects across very similar categories. And what we want to do is see how each one of them specifically fares against the other in a heads-up match. We've got the new kid on the block here in the form of SUI that wants to prove itself as a new project. It's hungry, it's eager. And then we have the old guard, the established project in the form of Cardano, and that has a lot of weight behind it, of course, but is it still relevant? Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck to you if you choose to invest. I mean that very genuinely, but I'm not a financial or investment advisor, so just remember that this video is not official financial or investment advice. Okay, so the first area that we want to examine specifically in terms of this matchup between SUI and Cardano is the DeFi space. And specifically, we're going to look at the DeFi market. So by that, I mean how much TVL does each chain have that's total value locked. We're going to use CoinGecko for this and DeFi Llama as resources to check in on the numbers. Looking at CoinGecko here to begin with, we see that SUI places number 12 at $592 million in TVL. And for context, that represents a market dominance of 0.68% with 42 coins. Cardano actually sits below SUI. It's at the 17th spot right now with $299 million in TVL with 77 coins. And you may be surprised to hear it, but by market share, Cardano sits at only 0.34%. And on DeFi Llama here, we see that SUI occupies the number 13th spot with a TVL of $590.18 million. Cardano's down even further at the number 22nd spot with a TVL, as shown here, of $298.09 million. By the way, SUI has 30 protocols and Cardano has 35 protocols. Now, if you're like me, you probably would have expected those numbers to be a little bit closer. You probably also would have expected Cardano to be a little bit higher in terms of the metrics, but there you have it. And it's pretty one-sided here, as you can see. So we're going to give that first round victory to SUI, which takes a pretty convincing lead here. And we have twice, so two instances on two different platforms where SUI beats Cardano pretty hands down. And the fact is that SUI has built up a better TVL in a much shorter time frame as well. So again, I can safely say here, and I'm sure that you'd agree with me, that SUI is really taking the DeFi space by storm. If I were to give grades here, SUI would probably be a 3.5 out of 5, and Cardano would be closer to a 2.5. Okay, so in our matchup, in our head-to-head fight of SUI and Cardano, the second category that we're looking at here is NFTs. And yes, of course, Ethereum is still the main chain for NFTs. Although currently Bitcoin's runes are actually taking the driver's seat. They have the most recent, at least, momentum. Solana is also coming in at the third spot. But on renowned NFT platforms like CryptoSlam or maybe DappRadar, if you prefer, you actually won't find SUI. However, they do list Cardano. Cardano has 24-hour volume on the order of about $65,000. SUI has a $10,500 SUI, that's SUI volume, or about $14,000. By the way, 40% of that volume goes to Prime Machine. We actually recently posted an article about this collection, so yes, there's no question that Cardano wins here when we do look at daily volume. However, there is a little bit more to the picture here, so we're going to try to widen our perspective because personally, I am impressed by the tech behind the SUI NFTs. Their designs may actually put them in the driver's seat over a longer time frame. For example, the SUI NFT standards include dynamic fields, which allows NFTs to change over time or when they meet certain conditions. Kiosk is another important feature. It allows a SUI NFT to hold other NFTs or coins, and you can also borrow or lend NFTs in this way. Another sample of SUI NFT's creativity is that you can merge NFTs. Now, you may remember the SUI Friends, or maybe the Cappies. If you want, you could merge the two together and you could get a new NFT as a result. This tech in SUI NFTs really sets them pretty far apart from any other NFT on different chains. And now it all depends on the creativity of the SUI NFT developers. So SUI actually wins this round despite not having a huge comparable volume just yet, because we see that only as a matter of time. I'm giving here SUI 4.5 out of 5 and Cardano a 3. Let's take a look now at the size of the ecosystems. So here it should come as no surprise that Cardano does have a 6-year head start and advantage over SUI. Just take a look at this interactive Cardano ecosystem map. It's massive, obviously. Really, since 2017, plenty of projects have chosen to build on Cardano, and it shows. Next is their NFT ecosystem. And yes, this is bigger compared to SUI. However, as we just saw, SUI is actually pretty far ahead with their NFT technology, and that's going to give them an edge over time. Cardano really does cover every crypto corner with its ecosystem. So we have, for example, in representation here, DEXs, wallets, education, infrastructure, AI, DeFi, various launch pads, different payment options, socials, meme coins, even gaming. And those are just kind of the headline categories, I guess, if you will, but there are more than that. So it's not an exhaustive list. SUI, by comparison, has 85 projects currently, and it spreads them out over about 30 categories, although some may overlap. But in all fairness, that's okay because it's also the case with Cardano. Some SUI projects include, for instance, SUI Wallet, which is now also available for mobile, Deepbook, which is a liquidity layer, Pseudo Finance, this is for RWAs, real-world assets and synthetics, or Chirp, which is all about DePIN. So SUI's doing an impressive job, to be sure, but there's no question that Cardano's got the upper hand here. It wins this round. They get a 3.5 out of 5, SUI gets a 2.5. In round number 4 here, we are considering operating systems. The operating systems of both chains, of course, and this is where we really start to see some big differences. Cardano is an unspent transaction output, a UTXO-based blockchain. That's the same as Bitcoin, by the way, the same as Litecoin, the same as Zcash, and the same as Dogecoin. And so the Cardano transactions have inputs and outputs. And as such, an output is an unspent output from a previous transaction. So it stores assets in unspent outputs. It may sound a little bit complicated, but if you're still with me, basically, it just doesn't store it in an account like Ethereum does. And many consider the UTXO model as one of the most robust and best operating systems available in crypto. On the other hand, SUI has an object-centric approach. And as we already saw with the previous kiosk feature, that's when I talked about their NFTs. It organizes its transactions with a DAG, or directed acyclic graph. This allows for parallel transaction processing, and as a result, it reduces bottlenecks. We have impressive tech on both sides here, but I'm going to give a slight advantage to Cardano, even though SUI comes in pretty close. So Cardano we're giving 4 out of 5, and SUI gets a 3.5 out of 5. And so that means we're all tied up as we head now into the last round. The last variable that we're considering here at number 5 is compatibility factors with other chains, because interoperability is very important in the crypto space. The various blockchains can't talk or communicate with each other, right? Hence, we need bridges to send assets across different chains. And the more chains it can connect to, the better a chain will thrive. And the way Cardano is set up, it's actually difficult to connect it to other chains. One chain is the only bridge so far that could crack this task. It connects Cardano with Ethereum, which allows for BTC, ETH, USDT, and USDC to get to Cardano. SUI, on the other hand, has various bridges. For example, Portal Bridge, which is built on top of Wormhole and connects EVM and non-EVM chains. Omni BTC, which uses Layer 0 as bridge and SUI as settlement center. SUISwap, which offers 16 tokens from various chains that you can swap. Cryptopia, which connects various chains. So for example, ETH, ARB, OKBC, BSC, Solana, Polygon, even Tron. Creadex, which connects 5 chains. And USUI, which connects with Ethereum, Polygon, BSC, and Solana. When it comes to this one, there is no doubt that SUI wins this particular category. It gets a score of 4 out of 5 here, and Cardano's only getting a 2. And that, of course, means the final result is 3-2 in favor of SUI. And we have to remember that SUI has achieved this victory in a shorter period of time. Its mainnet has only been around for a year, and SUI is building more things that users actually want. So that's my decision. That's how I tallied up. Those are the factors that are important to me. SUI doing a very good job here of punching well above its weight. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you think there are any variables that I may have omitted or didn't think about or didn't consider. But there you have it. In terms of these 5 categories that we've discussed, SUI comes out on top over Cardano, 3-2.